Visualize this with me for a moment, my dear one. Visualize yourself standing at the edge of your world with your hands open, your breathing gentle, your heart receptive, and your whole energy saying, "Yes, I believe something beautiful is on its way." That simple shift, that releasing of your inner grip, that gentle opening in your being is far more powerful than the world has ever taught you. Most of us grew up learning we had to hold everything tightly, control every outcome, predict every detail, guard against every loss. We were taught to brace, to push, to force, to fight. But life was never designed to be wrestled with. Life was designed to be partnered with. And when you loosen your grip, when you relax your jaw, when you soften your shoulders, when you breathe deeply into the truth that you do not need to control anything to be safe, you enter a new reality, a reality where life can finally flow toward you instead of being blocked by you. You see, we don't suffer because life is unkind. We suffer because we tighten around life. We fear what might happen next, so we try to control it. We fear losing what we have, so we cling to it. We fear being disappointed, so we assume the worst. And all that fear becomes a wall that beautiful things cannot pass through. But the moment you act as if beautiful things are coming, you pierce a hole in that wall, you create an opening. You make space for life to show you its kindness. Acting as if is not pretending. Acting as if is remembering. Remembering that there is a version of you who trusts the process. A version of you who doesn't need to know how. A version of you who relaxes into the flow of life instead of resisting it. A version of you who believes that life is always moving you towards something meaningful. Acting as if is not lying to yourself. It is aligning with the part of you that already knows you are meant for more. When you act as if your energy shifts first and life responds second. I have taught this for decades because I have watched it change thousands of lives. People come to me anxious, afraid, discouraged, and I say gently, "My darling, just try acting as if something beautiful is on its way." And they say, "But Louise, isn't that unrealistic?" And I say, "No, unrealistic is believing nothing beautiful can ever happen again. You are not being naive when you expect blessings. You are being aligned. You are not delusional when you anticipate miracles. You are being receptive. You are not pretending when you loosen your shoulders and say something wonderful is unfolding for me. You are telling the universe, I am ready to receive." Think about your body for a moment. When you expect danger, your muscles tighten, your heart races, your breath shortens, your mind scans for threats. When you expect beautiful things, your entire physiology responds. Your breath deepens, your chest expands, your nervous system softens, your intuition awakens. Acting as if beautiful things are coming places your body in a state of openness, receptivity, and safety. And my dear, the body heals in safety. The heart opens in safety. The mind expands in safety. Life flows to the nervous system that is relaxed enough to let it in. I want you to take a breath with me now, a slow one, a soft one. And as you inhale, imagine the air whispering, "You are guided." And as you exhale, imagine your body letting go of years of bracing, all the old stories that taught you you had to do everything alone. Because here's the truth you may have forgotten. Life is always helping you, always supporting you, always guiding you, always leading you towards something better. When you act as if beautiful things are coming, you are not creating false hope. You are aligning with the natural flow of life itself. People often ask me, "Louise, how do I know if something beautiful is coming?" And I say, you know, because you decide to know. You choose the assumption that serves your soul. You choose the belief that nurtures your spirit. You choose the inner narrative that allows you to relax, soften, and trust. Assume the beautiful and life will rise to meet that assumption. This is not wishful thinking. This is energetic law. What you assume, you attract. What you expect, you invite. What you believe, you create. Let me tell you a small story. I once sat with a woman who had spent years assuming the worst. Every phone call terrified her. Every new opportunity made her anxious. Every relationship felt like a threat. And she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "Louise, I'm so tired of waiting for life to hurt me." And I said gently, "My darling, then let us choose a different assumption." I asked her to wake up each morning and whisper, "Something wonderful is coming." Not with pressure, not with force, not with fake enthusiasm, just a whisper, just a willingness. And do you know what happened? Her posture changed, her tone changed, her choices changed, her life changed. Not because magic fell from the sky, but because she became a magnet for new possibilities. Life responds to your openness. Life responds to your expectations. Life responds to your willingness to believe that you are supported. When you act as if beautiful things are coming, you step into the frequency where beautiful things live. You walk into a room differently. You make decisions differently. You carry yourself differently. And the world feels that difference. People feel that difference. Opportunities feel that difference. Let me ask you this. What would you do differently today if you truly believed something beautiful was coming? Would you speak more kindly to yourself? Would you take better care of your body? Would you stop rushing? Would you stop apologizing for existing? Would you stop living in fear of what if and start living in the hope of what's possible? This is the magic of acting as if it changes the way you show up long before life catches up. And life always catches up. My dear one, life is not against you. Life has never been against you. Life is not punishing you. Life is not delaying you. Life is preparing you. And the moment you soften into trust, the moment you loosen your grip on outcomes, the moment you dare to whisper, "Beautiful things are coming for me," the universe hears that whisper as a request, as permission, as a signal. You do not need proof to believe. You need belief to create proof. So let us close softly with a truth I have spoken for many years. When you relax, when you trust, when you expect beautiful things, life rises lovingly, faithfully, beautifully to meet you, acting as if is not pretending. It is remembering who you are, remembering what is possible, remembering that you are safe to hope again, and you are. There is something beautiful on its way to you. Let your energy be open enough to receive it. I love to talk about the mind, my dear, because once you understand how your mind works, you stop fearing it and you start shaping it gently, lovingly, deliberately. I have spent my entire life teaching people that the mind is not your enemy. The mind is a tool, a garden, a space of pure creation. But like any garden, it grows what you plant. And like any tool, it repeats what you teach it. The mind believes the story you tell it most often, not the story that is most true, not the story that is most loving, not the story that serves your highest good, simply the one you repeat again and again. The mind doesn't filter, it doesn't argue, it doesn't evaluate, it accepts. That is why I always say, change your thoughts and you change your life. Because when you change the story, you change the lens. When you change the lens, you change your reactions. And when you change your reactions, you change your entire reality. This is why I love teaching people about the inner story, the narrative your brain silently repeats long after you have forgotten when it started. Maybe you learned it when you were 5 and someone told you that you weren't good enough. Maybe you absorbed it from a culture that told you to play small. Maybe you inherited it from parents or grandparents who only knew survival, not thriving. Maybe you created it yourself in a moment of pain when your heart decided this is just how life is. But here is what I want you to understand, my dear one. That story is not truth. That story is not fate. That story is simply a recording your mind has been playing on repeat, and any recording can be changed. You are not locked into the thoughts you have always thought. You are not imprisoned by the beliefs that have held you back. You are not required to carry narratives that were never really yours to begin with. You have power, sacred power, divine power to choose a new story. And when you choose a new story, everything starts to shift around that choice. I have seen people transform their lives overnight simply by deciding to think differently, not by changing their circumstances, not by waiting for a miracle from outside, simply by choosing a gentler, kinder, truer thought. A woman came to me once who was heartbroken because every relationship in her life had ended, and she said to me, Louise, I must be fundamentally unlovable. And I said gently, my darling, that is the story your mind is telling you. But what if we chose a different story? What if, instead of I am unlovable, you started saying, I am learning to love myself so fully that I attract relationships that mirror that love back to me. She stared at me, stunned, and I said, just try it. For 1 week, say that sentence every morning when you wake up. And she did. And you know what happened? She didn't suddenly meet her soulmate. She didn't get a marriage proposal. But something else happened. She stopped tolerating mistreatment. She stopped chasing people who didn't value her. She started setting boundaries. She started choosing herself. And 6 months later, she met someone who loved her exactly as she was. The outside world hadn't changed yet, but her inner world had transformed, and the outer world had no choice but to follow. This is the power of the inner story. It doesn't just change how you feel, it changes what you attract. It changes what you tolerate. It changes who you become. Your mind is listening to you right now. Your mind is absorbing every word you think, every belief you hold, every assumption you make, and your mind is saying yes, yes to all of it. Yes, I will create evidence for whatever you tell me is true. So, if you tell your mind that life is hard, your mind will find proof of that. If you tell your mind that people can't be trusted, your mind will scan for every betrayal. If you tell your mind that nothing ever works out, your mind will filter your reality through that lens and you will only see the failures. But if you tell your mind, I am worthy, your mind will start to notice the proof. If you tell your mind, I am supported, your mind will recognize the signs. If you tell your mind, something beautiful is unfolding for me, your mind will attune to the blessings that were always there, but invisible through your old filter. The mind doesn't create reality. The mind interprets reality, and you get to choose the interpretation. Now, this is not about denying pain. This is not about pretending difficulty doesn't exist. This is not about bypassing real emotions. This is about refusing to let pain be your only story. This is about refusing to let hardship define your identity. This is about honoring your emotions while also choosing thoughts that support your healing. You can acknowledge the struggle and still say, I trust something better is coming. You can feel the fear and still say, I am safe. You can sit with the sadness and still say, I am held. These are not contradictions. These are acts of compassion. These are choices that let you be human and hopeful at the same time. I want you to become aware of the sentences you repeat to yourself silently. The ones you say when you wake up, the ones you say when you look in the mirror, the ones you say when something goes wrong. Are they kind? Are they true? Are they serving the version of you that you are becoming? Or are they echoes of old wounds that no longer fit who you are? Because, my dear, you are not who you were 5 years ago. You are not who you were last year. You are not even who you were yesterday. You are constantly evolving, constantly expanding, constantly becoming. And your inner story needs to evolve with you. So let's practice right now choosing a new sentence. Think of one belief that has been limiting you. Maybe it's, I always fail. Maybe it's, I'm not good enough. Maybe it's, nothing beautiful ever lasts. Now gently set that belief down, not with force, not with judgment. Just set it down like an old coat that doesn't fit anymore. And now choose a new belief, not because you fully believe it yet, but because you're willing to try it on. Maybe it's, I am learning and growing every day. Maybe it's, I am worthy exactly as I am. Maybe it's, beautiful things are safe to stay in my life. Say it softly. Say it kindly. Say it as if you were speaking to someone you deeply love. Because you are. You are speaking to the most important person in your life. You. And every kind word you speak to yourself, every gentle thought you choose, every loving belief you adopt becomes a brick in the foundation of the life you are building. Your mind wants to serve you. Your mind wants to support you. Your mind is waiting for you to give it better instructions. So speak to your mind with love. Speak to your mind with patience. Speak to your mind with the same tenderness you would offer a precious child, because that is what your mind is, a precious child waiting to be guided towards the light. And you, my dear, are the guide. Now let us move deeper into trust, because trust is not a one-time decision. Trust is a daily practice. Trust is a moment-by-moment choice to soften instead of harden, to open instead of close, to allow instead of control. And I know that trust can feel terrifying, especially if life has hurt you before, especially if you have been betrayed, especially if hope has let you down. But here is what I have learned after decades of teaching and healing. The opposite of trust is not caution. The opposite of trust is suffering, because when you do not trust, you carry everything alone. When you do not trust, you exhaust yourself trying to manage outcomes you were never meant to manage. When you do not trust, you live in constant fear of what's coming next. And that is no way to live. Trust doesn't mean you ignore warning signs. Trust doesn't mean you abandon your wisdom. Trust doesn't mean you bypass your discernment. Trust means you believe that even when things feel uncertain, you are still being guided. Trust means you believe that even when the path is unclear, you are still heading in the right direction. Trust means you believe that even when life feels chaotic, there is an intelligence beneath it all orchestrating things for your highest good. And when you live from that place of trust, everything softens. Your body softens, your breath softens, your heart softens, your mind softens. And in that softness, you become available to receive the very things you have been blocking with your tension. I watch people resist the flow of their life, and it breaks my heart because the flow is not your enemy. The flow is your ally. The flow is the current that wants to carry you. The flow is the river that knows exactly where you need to go. But so many people stand at the edge of the river, afraid to step in, afraid the current will sweep them away, afraid they will lose control, afraid they will drown. And I understand that fear, I do. But what if I told you that the current is not trying to drown you? The current is trying to carry you. What if I told you that when you step into the river and let go, you discover you were always meant to float? What if I told you that resisting the current is what exhausts you and surrendering to it is what saves you? This is the paradox of trust. You think surrender makes you weak, but surrender makes you powerful. You think letting go means losing, but letting go means receiving. You think flowing means you have no direction, but flowing means you are aligned with a direction far wiser than your limited mind could ever create. So how do you practice trust when everything feels uncertain? You start small. You start with one breath, one moment, one choice. You wake up and instead of immediately worrying about everything that could go wrong, you whisper, I trust today will unfold beautifully. You get difficult news, and instead of spiraling into fear, you breathe, I trust there is something here I need to learn. You face a closed door, and instead of collapsing in despair, you say, I trust a better door is opening. These are not just affirmations. These are sacred redirections. These are choices that train your nervous system to relax into the wisdom of life instead of fighting it. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Trust is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger with use. At first, it feels wobbly. At first, it feels fragile. At first, it feels like you're faking it, but you keep choosing it anyway. You keep whispering, I trust. You keep softening instead of bracing. You keep opening instead of closing. And one day you wake up and realize that trust is no longer something you're forcing. Trust is something you're living. Trust is who you have become. And from that place of embodied trust, miracles happen. Not because you earned them, not because you manifested them perfectly, but because you finally became available to receive them. You finally stopped blocking the beauty that was always trying to reach you. You finally aligned with the flow that was always trying to carry you. So trust the timing of your life. Trust the redirections. Trust the closed doors. Trust the waiting periods. Trust the uncertainty. Trust the becoming. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn, receiving exactly what you need to receive. And if you cannot trust fully yet, trust that you are learning to trust. Trust that your willingness to try is enough. Trust that even your doubt is part of the journey, because it is. Every single part of you, every single emotion, every single fear, every single hope is welcome here. You do not need to be perfect to be loved. You do not need to have everything figured out to be guided. You do not need to be fearless to be held. You simply need to be willing, and you are. I can feel it. I can sense it in the fact that you are here, receiving these words, opening your heart, softening your resistance. That willingness is everything. That willingness is the crack where the light enters. That willingness is the doorway to your transformation. So honor your willingness, celebrate it, let it be enough, because it is. Now let us speak about flow, because flow is the natural state of life. Everything in nature flows. Water flows, air flows, seasons flow, energy flows. And you, my dear, are nature. You are not separate from the trees, the rivers, the wind, the cycles. You are part of it all. And when you flow, you return to your true nature. But what does it mean to flow? It means you stop forcing. It means you stop manipulating. It means you stop demanding that life bend to your will. It means you soften into what is instead of resisting what is. It means you say yes to this present moment even when this moment is uncomfortable, because resistance is suffering, acceptance is peace, and flow lives in the space between effort and surrender. Flow is not passive. Flow is not giving up. Flow is not letting life walk all over you. Flow is active receptivity. Flow is engaged trust. Flow is doing your part and then releasing the outcome. Flow is planting the seed and trusting the soil. Flow is showing up fully and then letting go completely. And when you flow, you stop exhausting yourself. You stop carrying burdens that were never yours to carry. You stop trying to control things that were never yours to control. You start dancing with life instead of wrestling with it. And that dance is beautiful. That dance is sacred. That dance is where miracles live. I have learned to flow by watching nature. The river doesn't push. The river flows around obstacles. The river finds the path of least resistance. The river trusts gravity to carry it. And yet, the river is unstoppable. The river carves canyons. The river shapes landscapes. The river transforms everything it touches, not through force, but through flow. You can be like the river. You can be soft and powerful. You can be gentle and unstoppable. You can be fluid and transformative. You can flow around obstacles instead of crashing into them. You can trust the current instead of fighting it. You can carve your own path, not through aggression, but through persistence and trust. So when life feels hard, ask yourself, am I flowing or am I forcing? Am I trusting or am I controlling? Am I allowing or am I resisting? And if you find yourself forcing, controlling, resisting, pause, breathe, soften, and choose flow. Choose to trust that life knows what it's doing. Choose to believe that the obstacle is here for a reason. Choose to relax into the timing, even when the timing frustrates you, because timing is everything, and life has perfect timing, always. You may not see it yet. You may not understand it yet. You may not like it yet. But one day you will look back and see how every delay was protection, how every closed door led to a better door, how every disappointment redirected you to your true path, and you will say thank you. Thank you for not giving me what I thought I wanted. Thank you for giving me what I truly needed. Thank you for the timing I resisted that turned out to be perfect. So flow, my dear. Flow with the seasons of your life. Flow with the cycles of your heart. Flow with the rhythm of your breath. Flow with the intelligence that is orchestrating your journey. And when you flow, when you trust, when you soften, when you surrender, a new state, when you trust the flow, a new reality begins to rise around you, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. You are safe to trust. You are safe to flow. You are safe to receive. And life, with its perfect timing, its perfect wisdom, its perfect intelligence, will meet you there. And now, my dear one, we arrive at the gentle doorway of this teaching. The moment where everything we've explored becomes something you can feel, not just understand. Something you can live, not just listen to. Because an affirmation is not a sentence. It is not a nice phrase. It is not a decoration for the mind. An affirmation is a declaration of who you are becoming. An affirmation is an agreement you make with life. An affirmation is a permission slip you sign with your own soul.